over the last year or so, we have talked about the 50-40-10 built around the 90% CLTV loan that Velocity Mortgage offers. We've talked about buying single family homes, small duplexes and whatnot. I actually think what's going on now is there are going to be some folks that are doing the work that have sellers that want out, and you are going to be buying some big buildings with 10% down, with blended interest rates below 6%, all because of the 50-40-10. Stephen Dow, let's talk about that. But before we do the marketing spiel so we don't get in trouble.
You got it. Again, although I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital, all the ideas and topics discussed on this channel, that of my own. So let's get another one going.
Yeah. So again, I think there's a lot of pain coming in commercial. I've talked with Anna Kelly. We've talked with Jonathan Twomley and others, and the pain is obvious. And unfortunately, the pain is building.
Right.
There's going to be some frustrated landlords that want out and they can't sell today. They can't get their price, and they don't want to fire sell it, right? Let's just put some numbers around this. You know, last year they could have sold the building for $2 million.
Right. This year.
What they're doing right now is they're going, okay, I know I can't get 2 million, but I'll list it for 1.8. 1.8's a deal. 1.8's a deal. And maybe 1.8 is a deal. But given the financing, given all the interest rate, giving all of this, probably the only offers they are getting are stupid, disrespectful offers, because that's what I would make. And let's just put some numbers around this. I might offer 1.1 or 1.2. Okay. We're talking disrespectful.
Sure.
However, if you know what you're doing and the seller is in a position to say yes, you could pay 1.7, 1.75, heck, even 1.8. Do a 50-40-10, only come up with 10% down and get a lower interest rate, blended interest rate, and have a lower payment. It is magical when you understand the 50-40-10. So I think you just did a big deal in Indianapolis.
Yes.
Let's talk about it, because I think this is, I think I'm talking 7-figure opportunities for folks if you understand how to use the 50-40-10.
Right. Well, again, in the last video, I specifically talked about a deal, retail property in, of all places, again, Indianapolis, Indiana. You would think that, you would have some movement as far as.
Yeah, and again, he's saying of all places, Indianapolis, not because it's small. He's saying because it's big. It's a big market. He thought there'd be plenty of comps, and there wasn't.
Correct. And so when we started looking for comps, there was just limited. I think just the property size and things of that nature, but maybe that part of Indianapolis just didn't have a lot of action, but it's just a large market. So long story short, most every other lender that buyer had gone to turned them down because of the same situation. They couldn't find any comps, because every other institutional lender is going to be somewhat beholden to, guidelines and a certain protocol in evaluating properties. It's usually industry wide or industry standard. So with that being said, we normally looked at it from that metric, but then we're like, well, okay, what can we maybe do at the end of the day where we feel comfortable? So we said 50% is all we could, keep it at, even though we can't really know what the value is, but we feel comfortable with that based upon the purchase price that was agreed upon by buyer and seller. So buyer went back to the drawing board, told seller what the situation was, and seller, I think they probably had a couple of contracts that probably fell out due to the same situation.
Exactly. Yeah. The building didn't suddenly get a lot of comps. So he's frustrated. The seller wants out. That's going to be the key. I'm telling you, folks, follow up. You're going to have some sellers that just want out. They're getting older. Every day. It happens to all of us. When they get mentally checked out, they want to sell it. And trust me, if somebody who's owned an apartment building that they thought was worth $2 million, they're willing to sell it at 10% off at 1.8. They're not taking 1.2. They'll be like, screw it. I'll hold on another year. You guys aren't stealing my property, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
But they might listen to 1.7 with some seller finance. You got to learn how to pitch it. We've talked about it a lot. We actually did a deep dive on the 50-40-10, which people can check out in my deep dive playlist. But folks, open your eyes. In the environment we are in, there are going to be frustrated landlords with big buildings that will be open. And again, who is more likely to take seller financing? A single family home who thinks it's illegal, or a more sophisticated investor who's like, yeah, that's kind of par for the game. So again, it's all out there for you folks. And again, you can calculate the blended interest rate. Velocity comes in at, let's just pick a number, 9% on the first. You go get a 1 or 2%. Okay. Look, 9.5, 10, whatever. Whatever the number is. And then you go get a 1 or 2% second on 40%. Your blended interest rate goes to the low 6s.
I know, at 90%
It's
leverage.
just math.
Or
That's
maybe,
nuts.
right? Or up to, yeah. So this is the same situation because it's a retail property. The rate's going to be a little bit higher versus that of on a residential property.
Yeah.
But the fact that at 50% and at that higher rate, the seller was wanting to get his price. So I think from what I recollect, I'll have to check the note again, but he did a 1% interest only, but at his price.
That's the key. I have
now
done this.
he's getting passive income. He's not paying property taxes. He owned it free and clear. So he's like, okay, I'll get 60% of my money now versus 0% because nobody else can buy it unless they come in all cash. So no, it was a win-win for everybody.
No, that's the key of the 50-40-10. It's going to take work. It's going to take multiple conversations. It's going to take positioning. It's going to take building trust. Because again, they're going to loan you 40%, which they're going to have to trust you. But it's going to be magical. The folks that invest in learning how to talk about this 50-40-10, and again, the fact that Velocity brings us the 90% CLTV, which we built this around,
right,
is we're so lucky to have you and the team on the channel. If somebody wanted to reach out, how would they do that?
Again, SDAO at Velocity, the word mortgage.com, and the word mortgage spelled out, that is .com. Subject line, please put the acronym ORAAT to make it past the firewall. Body the email, maybe a brief description what you're looking for. Property address would be great. At least city and state to make sure I lend there. Your min FICO score, best phone number to reach you at, and I'll typically be in touch. Well, I don't say 24, 48 hours. I'll probably be at least no later than Sunday afternoon, Monday morning.
You have a little technology challenges today.
Yes, we're having some technical difficulties. So apologies for the delayed response if that's happening.
But normally 24 to 48 hours. You've proven track record. There you go.
I try to.
All right, buddy. Well, you know what? I will talk to Olivia in about an hour or so. We will work out something this afternoon to get together and say hi.
Yes, please. Yeah. I mean, again, at the very least, maybe lunch or something or dinner. So on me.
Yep. Thanks, brother. Take care.
I'm in. You too.